Hey, in this video I'm going to be explaining why you need to follow your fears. Why pursuing and following your fears is the best way to live if you're serious about growing and living to your maximum potential. Obviously, pursuing fear though is not pleasant. It's uncomfortable, naturally. So nobody lives like this. Fear is actually great at what it does, right? What's fear's job is to deter you. And it does a fantastic job at it, right? Deters us all. We choose the easy path, the comfortable path, the path of least resistance, right? But what I've found out, and I'm going to share this with you, what happens when you keep pursuing fear, what happens on the other side of that is really what you're seeking. But before we get to that, I just want to break fear down into two categories. So we've got external fears, right? Fears that you're aware of, fears that most human beings have. Fear of having no money, fear of dying, fear of losing your job or a certain relationship, right? These general fears that most people have. It's not really them fears that you need to overcome. The fears that you need to overcome are the unconscious fears that you've got. Because they're unconscious, you probably don't even know what half of these fears are, and you'll have a lot of them. But it's these unconscious fears that are holding you back in life, right? Stopping you from living the life that you want to live, right? Somewhere along the line, you got programmed with these deep unconscious fears, and now they literally control how you live your life. The flip side of this is, if you were able to figure out what these unconscious fears are, which I'll share with you how to do that, then you'll grow. You'll find a new level. You'll find more of yourself, which is really what happens when you pursue fear. Consciously. See fear as like a guide, right? If you don't know what to do with your life, I would say, what are you afraid of? Do that. I'm not suggesting you do crazy, harmful things that might impact your health. But just generally, what are you afraid of? You might be afraid of going to talk to some girl you want to talk to, or you might be afraid of starting that business or uploading a video on YouTube, whatever, right? You see what I mean? These general fears. Start to follow them fears. Make it a life philosophy. Right? You could argue that fear is always showing us the way, but because it's so frightening, because we've been conditioned to avoid it for so long, we don't want to follow it. We want to go somewhere else, right? But as I'm finding out more and more every day, the more I lean into my fears, the more I grow, the more I find of myself. And that's really what this whole game is about. It's about you reclaiming more and more of yourself. And behind your fears is a part of you that you lost, right? But for you to reclaim that part, you've got to go through the fear, right? So it's not even about you getting that girl or making that money or starting that YouTube channel. It's actually about what you gain as a result of facing the fear. And that's more of you, more of your essence, right? When you begin to reclaim parts of you by facing your fears, that's going to give you a feeling that nothing can compare to. That's real value. That's real self-worth. You'll be happy for no reason. But first of all, you've got to have at least one insight of what's on the other side of fear. As soon as you have that breakthrough, and you face one fear, and you overcome it, and you reclaim a part of yourself, it'll click for you and you'll understand that this is the way to live my life. If I face this fear and I feel good about myself, I feel like I'm more of me, maybe I've got to start living my life so I'm always pursuing, going in the direction of what I'm afraid of, right? And you can literally experience breakthroughs, right? The way I would suggest you do this, at least practicing it, is through visualization. I have a video on visualization. I'm big on visualization and using your imagination. And if you're not very good at it, it's something you're going to have to practice. You can't change your life if you can't see it in your mind first, right? I used to have the worst imagination going. I couldn't visualize at all. I just thought there was something wrong with me. The problem was that I had very little control over my mind. That's a good test to see how much control you've really got over your mind. How vividly and clearly can you visualize and use your imagination? If that ability is weak in you, then you don't have much control over your mind. It's quite humbling, right? You might think you do, but then you can't consciously see something you want to see. Also, technology is robbing us of this gift. So please go ahead, check that video. I dig into this topic more there. But you've got to start to master your imagination. And then put yourself in a certain situation that scares you, right? Vividly, as clearly as you can, right? The cool thing about imagination is that we can see things in our mind, feel what it would feel like before we actually do the thing. It's like a cheat code. You're getting practice. So if it's going to talk to that girl, visualize yourself doing it. Actually feel the fear. Don't just visualize yourself like it going magnificently well. Don't bypass the fear. Feel the fear. Feel everything you're experiencing, all the discomfort, self-consciousness, right? The anxiety, whatever comes up for you, right? Lean into it. And by lean into it, I don't mean you just kind of smash through it, which is what you might hear some people say. Eventually, you'll be able to smash through your fears. Literally. When you understand by first leaning into them, feeling all the uncomfortable feelings there, breaking through it and seeing what's on the other side, it's going to give you so much emphasis just to start facing every single fear that you've got. Because what's on the other side is pure value. What's on the other side can't even be put into any type of monetary terms that human beings have, because what's on the other side is beyond anything human or of this world, right? But life's always showing us where we need to go. So learn to find ways to lean into your fears. Use your imagination to do this. You're still going to have to do the thing. You're still going to have to talk to that girl. You're still going to have to start that YouTube channel or that business or whatever it is. But we've got this mechanism in our mind that helps us. Like, it's like a cheat code, like I said. So use it. As you begin to lean into your fears and you feel all the discomfort there, not only does the power of awareness begin to dissolve that, but you'll actually uncover the belief underneath the fear. If it was the fear of talking to this girl, maybe you'll find out deep down I've got this fear of rejection. I just don't want to be rejected. But without you acknowledging that fear, you're never really going to be able to be yourself in that situation, right? Because that fear unconsciously is going to be controlling everything about that interaction with that girl. You can't just push yourself through it. I guess if you'd approached enough girls, eventually you'd break the belief. But just through visualization, you'll have the insight of what the belief is. And as you keep leaning into it, you'll create that psychological and emotional insight. And when you get the emotional and the psychological insight together, that's what's called a breakthrough. Using the success example. Maybe you want to start your own business, but you don't know what to do, or you feel like you can't get going. You probably got some deep fear of failure or something along them lines. But until you begin to push into that fear, you're never going to find out what's the belief that's holding you back. When you see the belief, that's the psychological part of the insight. When you feel the emotion, that's the emotional part of the insight. You put the two together and you've got a breakthrough, right? So this is what you've got to do. Just start with your fears one by one, leaning into them. Make a list of a few fears you've got. Make a list to master them, right? At the beginning, the first ones are going to be challenging. But all you need is one breakthrough to understand why you're doing it. When you've got that breakthrough, you're going to just want to face the other fears, because you'll understand that the only thing in your way was you. The fear actually wasn't real. It was just a projection of your mind. But you don't understand that until you begin to lean into fear. And then the rewards that come from that, not even the external rewards, that you might get the girl, you might make the money, or you might have the success. I'm talking about the spiritual goals, rewards of what you reclaim by facing fear. So I hope you've got the courage to do this work, because it's truly life-changing, right? So just pick one or two things, begin to lean into them, make a commitment that you won't stop till you break through it. Thank you for watching. God bless.